Imagine a map of Europe. At its center is a huge body of water surrounded by Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, Romania, Bulgaria, and Georgia. This is the Black Sea. And since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, this sea has become one of the most important battlefields of the war. Because the Black Sea is not just about warships. It controls trade, grain exports, energy routes, military logistics, and access to Crimea. And in 2026, Ukraine is increasingly taking the fight deep into the Black Sea, targeting Russian naval assets, ports, maritime infrastructure, and vessels linked to Russia's energy trade. So why does this sea matter so much? Let's break it down. First, geography. Ukraine's southern coastline opens directly onto the Black Sea. And just offshore is Crimea, seized by Russia in 2014 and transformed into a major military hub. Crimea gives Russia naval bases, airfields, missile systems, and logistics infrastructure. Most importantly, Sevastopol was the main base of Russia's Black Sea fleet. That gave Moscow the ability to project military power across the region and threaten Ukraine's southern coastline. But at the start of the full-scale war, Russia had a huge naval advantage. Its fleet could threaten Ukrainian ports and disrupt maritime trade. And that brings us to the second reason the Black Sea matters. Money. Ukraine relies heavily on its Black Sea ports to export grain and other commodities. Think of the Black Sea as Ukraine's economic highway to the world. If that highway is blocked, Ukrainian exports suffer, and the consequences can extend far beyond Ukraine. Russia's blockade in 2022 demonstrated exactly how powerful control of the sea could be. But Ukraine eventually found another way to challenge Russia. It didn't try to defeat the Russian Navy ship for ship. Instead, it changed the rules. Drones. Ukraine increasingly turned to maritime drones, aerial drones, and long-range missiles. Small unmanned boats can travel across the sea without risking Ukrainian sailors. And they can threaten extremely expensive Russian naval assets. This strategy helped push important Russian warships away from Crimea. And one location became increasingly important. Novorossiysk. Located on Russia's eastern Black Sea coast, Novorossiysk became a crucial alternative base for Russian naval assets, as well as a major commercial and energy hub. But now even Novorossiysk is under pressure. On August 12, 2026, Russian authorities said a Ukrainian drone attack hit the port, killing a child and damaging businesses and residential buildings. The significance goes beyond the reported damage. Novorossiysk is also home to major commercial shipping and energy infrastructure. That means the military battlefield and the economic battlefield are increasingly overlapping. Ukraine is not only targeting warships, it is also targeting the maritime systems that help Russia generate revenue. Ukrainian forces have reported attacks on vessels associated with Russia's so-called shadow fleet, tankers accused by Kyiv of helping move Russian oil around sanctions. The broader strategy is simple: make Russia's maritime trade more expensive, more difficult, and more dangerous. But there is a major problem. Commercial shipping is getting caught in the middle. And this could turn the Black Sea from a regional battlefield into a wider international security problem. Turkey is particularly concerned. On August 9th, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan called for a moratorium on attacks against vessels in the Black Sea, warning about the growing danger to both military and commercial shipping. Turkey matters because it controls the Bosporus and Dardanelles, the narrow waterways connecting the Black Sea to the Mediterranean. In other words, Turkey controls the gateway. Then there is NATO. Romania and Bulgaria are NATO members, and both sit directly on the Black Sea. That means an attack, drone, or unexploded weapon crossing into NATO territory could create a much bigger crisis. And we're already seeing the risk. On August 11th, Romanian authorities said they destroyed 2 unidentified drones that had drifted near the Neptune Deep offshore gas project in Romania's Black Sea Economic Zone. Romania said Ukraine confirmed the drones were not Ukrainian. The incident highlights how the war is creating risks for critical infrastructure far beyond the battlefield. And then comes another major factor: oil. The Novorossiysk region is connected to the Caspian Pipeline Consortium, which transports oil from Kazakhstan. So disruption around the port doesn't only affect Russia. It can potentially affect international energy supplies. Reuters reported on August 12th that Ukraine had paused strikes on tankers using Novorossiysk following a request from US Vice President J.D. Vance, amid concerns that attacks on non-Russian vessels and infrastructure could disrupt oil flows and global markets. That tells us just how interconnected this battlefield has become. What happens in one Black Sea port can now affect shipping, energy prices, and countries thousands of kilometers away. So what is really happening in the Black Sea? Think of it as 3 battles happening at once. The first is the military battle. Ukraine wants to push Russian naval power away from its coastline. Russia wants to maintain access to Crimea and preserve its ability to operate across the Black Sea. The second is the economic battle. Ukraine wants to hit Russian maritime logistics and energy revenues. Russia wants to keep its export routes functioning. And the third is the shipping battle. Because once commercial vessels become targets, intentionally or accidentally, the consequences spread far beyond Russia and Ukraine. And perhaps the biggest lesson from this war is that naval warfare itself is changing. Ukraine entered the war without a conventional fleet capable of matching Russia's Black Sea fleet. Instead, it used drones, missiles, and intelligence to challenge a much larger naval force. That forced Russia to reposition important assets and rethink how safely its ships could operate. Now, with attacks reaching Novorossiysk, commercial vessels facing greater risks, and NATO countries watching their waters and infrastructure, the Black Sea has become one of Europe's most sensitive flashpoints. So the question is no longer simply, who controls Crimea? The bigger question is, who controls the Black Sea? And how much of the global economy could be affected if this maritime war gets even bigger?
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.